foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, and we do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Shema Yasharala Yahweh, Allahaya Nawa Yahweh Achad.
Hear Israel, Lord God, one Lord.
That's right. All right, this is video number 3. All right, and we're coming at you with strife.
In the
That's to
household.
the flesh.
Yep.
In the household, just like he said. All right. So I took you to Genesis 37 to talk about Joseph and his brothers and the contention that started and how it starts, and to give you an understanding of how things could start in the household. All right, it's not every situation that can happen in a household, but this is just one to give you an example. To start to look at this one, and you amongst that example of the actions we gave you that can happen amongst the children, it can happen amongst the parents. But also, it's just to give you an example of the things that can happen, and you can catch on to other things, okay? And also, after that, I went into showing you a lot of things of dealing with wisdom, of strife. Strife is anger or bitter disagreement over fundamental issues or conflict. Fundamental is forming a necessary base or core of central importance. You know, that strife can begin and start as somebody just bickering about something that is not really important. It's a fundamental issue that you can easily take care of. All right, so that I went on. Then I went into James to show you the understanding that the Most High is not a partiality in His judgment. There's no respective person in His judgment of things. All right, being that the strife is happening, and then I went into a proverb showing you how the things can be stirred up by meddling. You know, the family members amongst in the house are going to start meddling with each other, and you got to be able to pick out which one is doing it and stop it and nip it in the bud, either with the rod or either with the tongue. You know what I'm saying? But the rod of correction comes in both of them with the parents. The parents have the tongue and the parents have the rod, the actual rod, okay? They have two different things to correct the child with. So that meddling can lead to a lot of things that need to be drawn out. Okay, the other person in the household who they're meddling with, that's why you got to teach your kids, and you can't leave them to themselves. Like, you can't have your kid idle. Get them off that damn game. Don't let them be on that game all the time. You got to nip that in the bud. Those games just take away from you. Now those games are teaching your kids. That's emulation.
So what does it say? Because what does it say? A false balance is an abomination.
Yeah, false balance is an abomination to the Most High. That's right. You know, point. Okay. So meddling, right? You know, that can start things as well. Okay. And then I went to the tongue. That member needs to be tamed. All right, that tamed, because once you start meddling, they ain't gonna just be not talking to each other. They're gonna be talking back and forth. Man, hey, you better get out of my face, leave me alone. You know, that tongue, needs to be tamed. All right. And what comes after that? After that tongue starts that fire. Let me get Sirach 23:16.
26 and 13.
23 and verse 16. Sirach chapter 23, verse 16. Sirach, broccoli up. Very, very important. Very, very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. All right, chapter 23, verse 16. Go ahead.
This is Sirach chapter 23 and verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
2 sorts of men multiply sin, and the third will bring wrath. A hot mind.
A what?
A hot mind.
That's what's going to happen after that meddling. You're going to have some hot minds in the house, right? They ready to get down for a contentious lips calls for strokes. All right, read.
It's a burning fire. It will never be quenched till it be consumed.
Until it be what?
Consumed.
Until it be put out. How are they going to put it out? Fighting in the house now in these last days. Yahweh Shai spoke about this, man. It's going to happen. Read.
A fornicator in the body of his flesh will never cease till he hath kindled a fire.
Right, read.
All bread is sweet to a whoremonger.
Right.
He will not leave off till he die.
Right.
A man that breaketh wedlock, saying, thus is his heart, who seeth me, I am compassed about with darkness.
Mm-hmm.
The walls cover me, and nobody seeth me. What need I to fear? The Most High will not remember my sins.
And that's crazy. A man that breaketh wedlock saith thus in his heart, who seeth me? I am compassed about with darkness. He think the Most High don't see him. He that saith in his heart there is no God, he has done wickedly. And that's the type of brother right there. And you got to understand that and find that in the house. You got to pay attention to these things. A fornicator, he can be amongst your son. He can be doing these things, man. These things can happen. I want to get another one. Give me Sirach chapter 28, verse 1. Because that hot mind, that's what I wanted to touch on, is that hot mind. All right? It's Sirach 23:16. Two sorts of men multiply sin, and the third will bring wrath. A hot mind is a burning fire. It will never be quenched till it be consumed, until it be put out. And that's what I just wanted to point out, because while they meddling, that child is meddling back and forth, he ticking off the other child. He ticking them off. And now he got a hot mind now. And this is where this runs into play. Read.
Sirach, chapter 28, verse 1. He that revengeth shall find vengeance from the Lord.
He that revengeth shall find revenges from the Lord. And that's what's going to happen. He's going to revenge him. And he's going to end up getting taken out of the picture now. Because Yahweh Shai is not having it. Because the Most High is not having it. That's why he's not having it. And I don't think he'll have it even if it wasn't the Most High, because that's a righteous brother right there. All right, read.
He will surely keep his sins in remembrance.
Right.
Forgive thy neighbor the hurt that he hath done unto thee. So shall thy sins also be forgiven when thou prayest.
So that's what you got to do. You got to forgive your neighbor. And go to Leviticus 19 and 17. Your neighbor is your brother, your own people.
19:17?
Yeah. Yeah, go there. Hold that.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17.
Read.
Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him.
Thou shalt not in any wise judge your brother and suffer sin upon him. Because you want the Most High to forgive you, right? So don't judge him and then not forgive him. That's what it's saying. Don't judge your brother, yet that is your neighbor, and not forgive him. Start that again, please.
Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart, but thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him.
Read.
Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people.
Of the children of what?
Of thy people.
The children of thy people. That's your neighbor. Read.
But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Ra'aika la'ata kwama la'ata tar athbanya. Amka wa'abata la ra'aika kama waka'anya Yahweh. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Yahweh.
That's just how, you know what I'm saying, that's how it's done through the Spirit of the Most High Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai.
You want to go back to Sirach?
Yeah, go back to Sirach.
Sirach chapter 28 and verse 2. Forgive thy neighbor the hurt that he hath done unto thee.
The children of your people, that's your neighbor. Read. Not the people next door to you that are Chinese. No. No, it's just out of a certain circumstance that you are next door to them. All right, read.
So shall thy sins also be forgiven when thou prayest.
So don't judge your brother and not forgive him and suffer sin upon him. You want the Most High to forgive you too, right? So you gotta what? Forgive thy neighbor the hurt that he hath done unto thee. So shall the sins also be forgiven when thou prayest. Because if you're not forgiving your brother, man, the Most High just looking at you crazy like a heathen, man, for your overmuch reputation. It's just like, hey, this bro is sick. He ain't even forgave his brother, but he want to sit here and pray. You are praying in vain. That's why all these things you got to pay attention, man, because you don't want to pray in vain for the Most High. In these last days, you get caught up in hellfire and his wrath. And that's what's just going to happen, man. You'll get caught up in the Most High's wrath in these last days because you just you just real vengeful. Vengeance is not yours. Vengeance is of the Lord's, man. Y'all gotta understand that. Watch this. Let me see. Let me see the sword real quick. I got a precept real quick. This one be smashing on this one. Let me see. Book of John real quick. I like the book of John. John is just chain, man. Strife. Strife happens, man. Everybody gotta just stay clear of strife, man. Strife is no good in the family, man. You gotta really pay attention, you know what I'm saying? And people gotta stop being so contentious in the household. That's the thing. Everybody gotta understand what they're doing, man, and just speak in the spirit, man, and love one another and stop being like that. That's just hatred. That's pure hatred. If they don't get that, it's gonna consume them until they're consumed. All right. And it's gonna bite everybody right here, man. Because I bet a lot of people passed this up and didn't pay attention to it and everything else. Oh God. Hey, I didn't think it was in there. Oh, it's in Luke. It's a lot, man. My bad, my bad. I was thinking it was in John. Come. Right here. 12 start 43. I had to find that. Through the spirit of Yahweh, I had to find that, man.
Luke what?
Luke 12 43. Start there.
Luke chapter 12 verse 43.
Uh-huh.
Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing.
So I find so doing what?
Of a truth I say unto you, that he will make him ruler over all that he hath.
Right? That's what we're doing right now. We're doing the work. Read.
And if that servant say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his
And if we just stop and get, slothful and be like, the Most High is not about to say his son, read. If it's the servant what?
But if that servant say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to beat the men servants and maidens, and to eat and drink, and to be drunken, the Lord of that servant will come in a day when he looketh not for him, and at an hour when he is not where, he will cut him in sunder.
And that's what's going to happen in these last days. And that's why it's good to pay attention to the works of the flesh, so things like this will not happen. All right? So you understand and you stay in these scriptures, man, and you understand that the Lord ain't going to delay it, man. That's that faith. All right? That's that faith. You got to have it, man. All right? And what we're going to do is, man, we're going to do a video, man, through the Spirit. We get people asking for it. We're going to do the will of the Most High. A lot of people got to understand the will of the Most High, but they don't understand that, a lot of people don't pay attention to the precept that Yahweh Shai is telling you, who are going to call Jesus Christ. Christ is saying that he's not here to do the will of the Father. I mean, he's not here to do his will. He's come to do the will of the Father. That's what he's saying. Okay. And he keeps saying it and saying it and saying it. And then he said, for the law didn't come of Moses, it came of the Father, man. And he's telling you right now that things is going to happen. All right? That strife, that contention, that meddling, that hot mind, that revenge in that household is strife, works of the flesh. Everybody got to pay attention to the works of the flesh in that household. And with that, man, I give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God Yahweh, and we do so in the name of his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorant called Jesus Christ.
Shema Yasharala Yahweh, Allah Yahweh Yahweh, Hero Israel, Lord God's